Okay, I started the recording. I think I hit
What's
the
up?
stop instead of the pause, so I'll have to splice that together. But yeah, I hear you, Kitty.
Yeah, that's Hermes. My friend though met him and decided that his name was not Hermes and that it was Ferrari, which I think is a much cooler name. But his name is Hermes.
How did you get the name Hermes?
That was his. He's a house cat of the owner cat, and that person's sort of into old school mythology. So,
Okay.
I mean, hold on a sec. So, yeah, in essence, I feel what you were saying. I believe full heartedly that surrendering to the now, to God, um, immediately brings a sense of purpose and depth and a sense of greater opportunity than you will ever need. And I think what that does is you just basically put yourself into a yoke with the moment, and then both of those things are always relating to each other. And our career is really just all it is our purpose. It's what we're here to do. It's what we were uniquely born to be. It's just our biggest sense of being. And so when you get out of the daily rut of trying to do something other than what you are, then you were just being. And then your being is what you are, and then the universe will follow suit. And so I think we have this sense that we have to run, get, do, and be something outside of ourselves, that we forget that all we have to do is be ourselves. And the second we know and truly embrace that, our career starts to come to us. And I've really felt this full heartedly because I really, after years of training, I really just surrendered to my day, and the universe I am my job. Like, I don't, it just is my day. I don't have to like go anywhere. I wake up and I do go to a shop, but my job is my life, and vice versa. It's not something different that I have to do. I think in our modern America, we a lot of times we have a sense of separateness, that I'm like, okay, I'm a professional house cleaner in the week, then I'm with my family on the weekend, and we go somewhere on the weekend and we do that, and I'm a parent and I'm all this. And so our lives are oftentimes fractured into these various different segmented opportunities. And oftentimes people pick careers in order to achieve material needs, and oftentimes people don't like their jobs. It's very common. People don't like their job. And I think if we were in a culture that just fostered people to not necessarily worry, I think in our whole culture is all about, okay, what are we going to do? The whole career focus is this: get a job so that you can make money to do whatever it is you want to do to get your family or whatever. So the job, the key understanding of the job can be what your unique love is, but it's also directly focused on how to meet material gain in many ways. Not everybody focuses their life on that, but it is kind of a structure that has created our school systems and has created many of our professional understandings and sort of the culture of our society. But it doesn't say, when we're not taught to, go inward and find your deepest sense of self. And if you do that, you will also be able to get professional and economic success and gain, and I truly believe that the universe will take care of you if you trust it. Like you said, if you trust it, like from last week, if you trust it, it will provide you what you need. That's what Jesus was saying with the birds, they get their seeds, they get their food because the universe provides for them. No reason why the universe wouldn't do that for us, you know. So I think that's you're dead on. I think that's a key uh, key lesson when understanding career or workforce.
So, while you're talking, certain things kind of came up.
Yeah.
One thing is, I just want to kind of restate this, or actually, I want to make a more general statement first. I think that, like you said when you first started talking, is it took you a really long time to get to the point to where you were really flowing in the spirit, whatever
Yeah.
situation you were in.
Yeah.
And I just want to second that, like the stuff that I'm sharing, it also took me a really, really long time to struggle through a lot of different things to get to the point that I'm sharing
Yeah.
right now, where I'm
It's
at.
yeah.
And
I don't think it
no, no, no,
comes.
it's okay. It's okay. I just want to say for whoever might listen to this that no matter how far away you are from something like this, or no matter how discouraging it seems, or even no matter how pointless it seems, um, later on in your life, you could see this differently and it could become easier over time. And our journeys in our lives are deeply multi threaded, and there's deep layers of things, and things relate to other things in such complex ways, and uh, our uniquenesses, the way that we process things is going to be different than anybody else. And so, things in life that are really rich, they can take a long time. And, but, one of the reasons that I had a desire to make these videos, obviously, is to share what I've been experiencing lately, because I'm quite amazed at what I'm experiencing, and having gotten to where I'm at now, I'm just like really blown away that I could be as happy as I am. And um and also, kind of like experiencing a level of success even in my career, that I went through a lot of pain and a lot of fears and a lot of struggling, and probably overdid things a lot. I was probably too much of a workaholic. I mean, I just I wasn't together in a lot of ways. But to get to where I'm at now, it's just amazing. And one of the biggest lessons that I learned through this whole thing is what letting go does. Like, um, I've actually discovered that there is this like goodness and this plan that is beyond like what I could have ever really realized was actually there. You know, there is this loving force that I've experienced. Like one time I was driving down the street and I had forgotten, just put off this thing where this client owed me like probably around $2,000, and I had even bought equipment for them because they had misrepresented themselves as being part of this business that they weren't even actually working for. And it looked like a really established business and stuff. I mean, I hardly ever came across anybody that was being really dishonest like that, but this one time I did. And I was, trying to be trusting, but I was also kind of naive, because something inside of me told me that I was crossing my own boundaries. But all of this, so I had tried for months to get money from this person and never did. And I had this one check that was, I had deposited it and it came back stamped insufficient funds. And I just happened to have it with me, or this one day. But it had been about 2 months or so since I had checked if they had money in their account. And I pretty much forgot about it. And I was driving down the road one morning with my dogs in the vehicle. And just like on the right side of me, like outside of my vehicle up in the sky, I like heard, like not audible, but there was directionality to it. I heard it like just coming, like saying, go, go deposit that check. And I was just like, wow, that was bizarre. And I actually felt like it would be a good time to really test if I was really actually hearing God speaking to me or not, because it was just so out of the blue that I thought if there isn't money in that account, then I know that I'm hearing my own voices, you know? And so I went down there and there was these three tellers and they kind of knew me from past months because I had gone in there maybe like 4 or 5 times about 3 months before that. And anyway, so they were really curious, and I was standing on one side of the counter, and they were standing on the other side. And then all of a sudden, I saw their mouths drop open. Uh, the check was for quite a bit of money, and they're like, "Hey, the money's in the account." And I'm like, "Wow, that's amazing." And they were just like, it was like a really good story. I could tell it was going to be a good story that they were going to remember, you know. But so when stuff like that started happening to me, and I've had a number of things like that happen to me. I was just like, man, my open heartedness with God, because I was like really meditating a lot at that point. And what I'm saying is, I don't think that God was giving me like some kind of special giftedness or something just because I'm who I am. I'm my identity or the person that I am. But it was like I was really trying to open my heart to God. Like I wasn't trying to analyze God. I wasn't trying to prove God. I wasn't trying to question God. I just had this sense from suffering that I had gone through that God had done things for me and opened things up for me. And based on that, I was just choosing to trust God and trying to go deeper with that trust. And more that I did that, the more that these amazing things started happening. And so what I'm getting at here is that, you know, I've been through it. I know what it's like to look out the window on a gray day and just think nothing good's happening, nothing good, there's nothing good in my life, you know, not feeling like there's any future and just think it's all mundane and, you know, like start to get into my own ways that I don't like myself and what am I going to do with my time, and then start to be judgmental and critical of myself because I don't even love myself, that I like that thing or whatever. And it can get really ugly, you know. And, but what I have learned is that whenever I'm focused on the physical world, it can get that way. But if I go within and I open my heart, no matter what I'm feeling that day, no matter how bleak it looks, um, or how pointless things look, even on a sunny day, and I'm thinking about, well, I do have some money, I am making some money, and then all of a sudden it just seems like, well, what's the use of making money? Because buying stuff isn't really going to satisfy me, and it's just a race against other people and all this stuff, and that can become ugly, you know. Whatever it is, in any direction for any reasons, if I instead just use that as a challenge, another challenge to go within and open my heart and just trust for love and just give love to God, invariably I will start to feel better and things will come up, wisdom will come up. I'll start to see things that are happening like on a deeper level to me, and I'll start to see patterns that I just couldn't see before I took the open-hearted approach. And to be able to bring that into a regular job uh, kind of blows me away. I'm just I've gone through so much suffering around work, man. And to actually be at peace and happy, go into a regular job, I just can't even, it's like a miracle in and of itself for me in my life. I like changing my backgrounds every once in a while. I like beautiful scenes and different things. I think it's really hard to explain this concept, and I think it's hard to experience it, but it's so real and it's so wonderful. And that's why I kind of wanted to try to share that, you know. So I bet you have stories.
Yeah. Yeah, I got stories. Yeah, the main one is like work was such a big one for me. For my whole life, I was always dominated about by money and wanting to sort of be somebody. You know, I always was thinking like, um, when I think I was a writer, and so for many years I was obsessed with getting like a screenplay or a novel done so I can make money and be famous and get my money, whatever. And so I just stressed myself out for many years, feeling like I had to like push myself to be doing this, you know. And it was always dominated sort of on this American dream philosophy kind of thing that you had to like. My father was obsessed with it, and in many ways, a lot of my other family members were obsessed with. Um, my stepfather, I remember we had this aha moment where he drove and he said, "You know what? My parents, instilled in me. They hammered home this philosophy that if you went to school, got good grades, got a good job, and got money, that you will be happy." And it never was true. This is not
Mm,
true. And so, you know, um, I followed that thing, and then when I started becoming spiritual, that stuff just I couldn't do it anymore, and I just had to just be whoever I was at that moment. And so I just kept doing that, and it steered me. I never really realized. I just thought I was this writer because I thought, you know, that was who I was in order to make money, in order to be that I was the writer. But that was not who I was. That was what my ego thought I was. And I actually was way more than that. Like I had no idea that I had this depth in me that was just way beyond anything I ever thought I was. I wasn't just the one thing. I was many. I was like infinite things. You know, I was infinite. And I didn't realize that. But when I started surrendering to that, I started realizing, okay, I'm bigger than this, and I can do something great for the world. I have no idea what that's going to be, but I know that it was. And then the universe, I was like, okay, I don't know what I'm going to be doing here, but I know I just got to surrender. So I just surrendered to it. And then one day, I met this group of people, and they were like, "Hey, would you like this? They're hiring at this place that I work at, and they worked at this halfway house. And they're like, "Hey, do you want to go do that?" And I was like, "Okay, sure." So I went and I did that, and I for like 2 years I did that job, and it was super chill, so I could do my spiritual work. But at the same time, it put me in contact with people, so I started to begin to listen more. And so then, as I did that, I started realizing that, hey, maybe my career is in helping people. And I was like, man, I know I'm gonna need to help people. And so then I was like, I did that for about a year and a half, um, to 2 years. I did it for 2 years, but about the year and a half mark, I started getting a little bit unhappy because it was a clock company job, and I was kind of losing myself because it was sort of a mindless job, and there's so much bureaucracy and red tape, and it was and also I knew I wanted to help people, and one of their main ways of helping people was just to give them medicine. um, and I didn't feel like that was really at the core root of the problem. So I was like, how do I do this real work? And I started praying about it, and I was like, okay, I need to I need to do some kind of career here because I know I can help people. So what am I gonna
Can I
do?
ask you, like,
Yeah,
did you, when you had the experiences where you started to realize you could help people, can you go a little bit into that? Because I'll just say really quick, like, since I went into this practitioner's course and since I've been getting these really strong desires to be in healing and ministry,
yeah,
this last week or the last 2 weeks, I had a couple of things happen where all of a sudden it's like there's these people where they were sharing something, and I felt like God kind of spoke to me about what they were sharing. Like, I haven't actually either one of them talked to them yet to ask them, like, do they want me to share what came up for me, or do they want to share. One guru, I heard him talk about it as like, kind of like, healing is kind of like a dance between two people. It's
yeah,
not like something I'm giving to them. It's like a dance. Do you want to do the dance?
yeah.
It's
And that's
like,
basically
so what was happening with you when you started to get that
what
feeling?
started happening with me, and it took me a while to totally realize this. But when you said earlier, you just kind of surrender yourself to God, and then God will start bringing you what you need, pretty much. And that was what was happening was I was like basically learning that I could help people. And so what would happen is people would just there would be like these little sessions, and I at the moment I didn't know that they were sessions. I just thought they were interactions. But the universe started bringing me people to like basically practice listening. So like and practicing just being there. And so one time I went to work, and I was getting in the practice of trying to be more intentional before I went to stuff and did stuff. And I used to practice this just before I go hang out with my family or anything. But I remember one day I was going to go to work, and I got this deep feeling before I went, like 15 minutes beforehand. I stood outside the job and I said, "What's my intention today?" And immediately I got this thing back that said, "Today you practice listening." And what that was
Oh,
trying to do was just basically practice being being present with people, like being in the now with people, and really recognizing what's going on. And so I went in, and it said practice listening, and I was like, okay, I really probably need to be better at that. And so it wanted me to be a professional advisor or counselor. So it said, okay, practice listening. So I went there, and lo and behold, within the first 15 minutes of being at the job, the most talkative person in the history of this place, one of the clients, he was he was famous for talking for hours upon hours upon hours. He comes up and he just starts talking to me. And at first I'm annoyed. I'm like, this dude just doesn't shut up. But then I paused for a second, and I was like, wait, this is the universe giving me this. And I realized what was happening was that I was getting practice. And so he was giving me practice listening. So what if you want to listen, what better way to listen than to like hang out with the most talkative ass motherfucker in the world? You
all
learn to
right.
listen. You learn to listen. So the universe is giving me a chance to listen. So I stood there and I just was listening, and I was like, wait, okay, just I'll just listen to him. And then a few minutes into that, about 30 minutes of it, I got this strong image of like a parking meter. And what it was telling me, it said, put him on a meter, give him a time limit, because otherwise he would talk forever. And so I said, hey, I got some stuff earlier, so how about we stop talking in about an hour? at like 12:30. I gave him a time like 2:30 or something like that. And he's like, okay. And then he talked, and then sure enough, he stopped right on a dime at that time that I
Hmm.
said. Like, I didn't have to tell him. He just was
Huh.
like, okay, I gotta go now. And it was right at the time that I said. It was
Hmm.
unbelievable. It was like it was perfectly in alignment, and his intuition knew to do that, and he left. And
Hmm.
then this happened. He comes back again, and this time I get a microphone that comes down, and it said to kind of treat him like he was on like a show or something, like to treat it like we were having a back and forth conversation.
Hmm.
And so I did that, and then what started happening after I did that was that we started becoming more. It was like he became my client, and then I started. It was like a session. And then within the next couple of months, more and more of the clients started coming to me and asking me to do meditation or to ask me with their problems. And so I started developing like a clientele. But at that time, I
Okay, so
wasn't,
you were kind of you were trusting what was being told to you, and
yeah,
by following that, you didn't even know it, but you were transitioning into a kind of like a role or a way of
yeah,
being that was then suddenly making you have that role,
exactly.
and so it was like you were actually transforming through trust.
Exactly. And then,
Yeah.
so after a while, all these clients that were working there started coming to me and asking to do these like meditative sessions and all these things. And so what was happening, I was starting to do like therapy on them. I was starting to get a little worried though, because uh, it was a professional place, and they actually had psychologists that were
Mhm.
doing it. So I was kind of getting in trouble a little bit because I didn't follow their muggle rules of what you needed to
Mhm.
do in order to be that. So I felt like I was starting to get myself into kind of waters because I wasn't legally trained to be healing, to be
Mhm.
doing professional therapy sessions. But the universe was putting me in this because they knew that this was what I wanted to do. So I
Mhm.
sat for a minute, I prayed about it, and I said, okay, this is what I want to do, but let me do it the right way, and let me do it in a way that where I can do it. And so I put that out there, and then right as I started doing this, I started having this moment of where I knew I was like for sure that this is what I was supposed to do. I was supposed to help people, but I didn't know how. And so I was like, also, I don't think I need to be in this place anymore because this place is more geared towards the American professional mode. And I don't think I want to go that route because I don't think it's very therapeutic all the
Mhm.
time. They just sort of want to just plow people with Thorazine and Ritalin, and that was it, you know. And I was like, there's something deeper. So I went for this walk on like a Saturday, and I ran into this I walked into this I was just walking down the street, and there's this shop there, and something said go into that shop. And I went into the shop, and this lady was there, and I had an immediate connection with her, and they said that they were doing I talked to her about what was going on, and she said that, hey, we have this psychic night on Tuesday, why don't you come to that? I
Mhm.
think you might like that. And so I went to the psychic night, and I got this reading from this lady, and it was really intense. And then I started coming back and forth a couple of times. And then I was like, there's something about this. I said, hey, I really like this. Can I be a volunteer here? And she said, yeah, why don't you be a volunteer? And then right at the same time, I then went to a random I started studying the tarot for like a year while I was doing that, and but I never got my official deck. So I went to this friend of mine invited me to this Fourth of July party, and I went to the Fourth of July party, and they said, "Hey, do you want to do tarot card readings?" And I said, "Yeah, that'd be great." And so I went and I did a tarot card reading blind, never doing it ever before,
Mhm.
and the people were really great. And it turned out to be a session. I was listening to them, and I did this reading, and it was a very intense healing moment. And they gave me the deck after that. And then I went to the owner and I said, "Hey, I just got a new deck. Can I
Mhm.
hang out at Psychic Night and do some readings?" And she said, yeah, but you got to do me first. And so I was like, okay. I was nervous as hell. But she calls me in and says, hey, do a reading and then you can practice. And so I did a reading, and I was not really that, it wasn't great, but I had a presence about it. And the tarot listened to me when I did it. And so um, sure enough, I was right in what I'd said. And I had a good reading. And then my mom, uh, I went and visited her right after this, and she wanted a reading, and I did it, and she actually paid me like $50 or something to do the reading. So that was my first professional reading, and then I went
Oh, that's so
psychic.
sweet.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so the psychic night, I did that. And I did a reading for my brother, and he was blown away. And
Yeah.
then I just started doing readings for everybody I saw, you know. And then I started doing readings, and then from that, I started doing professional sessions, and then people just started coming, and then they started referring me, and then pretty soon it just started taking off, one
Mm,
thing after the, and it went through
mm,
different layers and levels, but that became my professional career after that. And
mhm,
all just by following the rhythm of what was going on in the moment, and I just kept listening
mhm.
and following one thing and another. I didn't mean to dominate that, but
No, hey,
that was my pursuit from it, from learning this.
no, that's what I asked, is
Yeah.
how did it, what were some specific examples? So that was great.
Yeah.
Plus, entertaining, um, which
Yeah,
is
that was what.
always a plus, not
Yeah.
necessary, but hey.
So that's how I started doing the work that I'm doing, and then for years, I just all the work that I've ever needed always came to me. You know, it always. I just was
Mm,
at the shop, and then people would just show up and be like, "Hey, I need a reading. Can you give me a reading?" And I'd be like, "Yes, I can give you a reading." You know, and or someone would say, "Hey, do you want to?" The owner would call like, "Hey, there's someone here. Do you want to do a reading?" And I'd be doing a reading, and so it always came to me. I don't know, and I
cool.
always was able to trust it no matter what. And uh, it took me
And
years
go
to
ahead,
learn
go
that.
ahead.
But go ahead. What were you gonna say?
I
I'm
was
done.
gonna ask, so what are you doing? I know right now you're interested in getting that soul school going
Yeah.
more. Are you still doing readings?
Oh yeah, every day. Yeah,
Okay. Oh,
I'm at
okay.
the shop, and basically the way what I do now is that I'm there 5 times a week, and that's basically like my post. And then
Okay.
people come throughout the day to get readings,
Hmm.
and it's integrated in the day. They'll come to the shop, and I'll do
Hmm.
what's called a soul assessment reading, which is a professional reading that has it has tarot integrated into it, but it's an Akashic records reading. I call it a Hall of Records reading that does two things. It gets a person's soul, what a person's soul work, soul calling, soul purpose is, and that can be the general work that they're supposed to be doing, like a love dragon, a cosmic healer, a love healer, so on and so forth, different ones, or a an energy worker, whatever it might be. And so it identifies that. It also works on what their soul chart is, what their soul work is, like all their life lessons. And then it also does like what is at work soul at that time. Like, are they spiritually organizing? Are they opening up? Like, I did a lot of readings this week that were about soul opening. I did a career reading on a guy this week
Hmm.
that went in his unique career work. It was a career organization reading. So it was organizing his career and was focusing in on his career life. And
Cool.
so those are the readings I do. So people just come in throughout the day, and they become that. And then I also have clients that call randomly all the time, and they might not be major. They may not be readings per se, but they're sessions because they're like people will ask questions or need help. They'd be like, "Hey, do you have time? I need to talk about this," or I need someone to talk to." And so the day or my professional day is completely organized through spirit. I I have either readings that I do throughout the day, or I just show up there and then people will come and there'll be live sessions. Or they'll ask me questions through text or something like that. And so my whole professional day is organized through daily events. So there's another thing in the I speak about in the Soul School called your daily schedule. And so if you surrender to the universe, then in a 24-hour period, whatever you're supposed to be doing that day is just naturally worked into your structure of your life. And so your work schedule is worked on in what are called event schedules. So your DNA actually has your life 24 hours worked out. So in a 24-hour period, your day has what are called events worked into that day. And an event is anything that happens in your day, but that can be an event can be morning meditation. It can be going for a run. It could be a phone call. It can be you running. It could be uh, actual a professional appointment, and so on and so forth. And so your work events are scheduled in your life. And so whenever someone calls up and says, "Hey, I want a reading," or "Hey, I'd like a Reiki appointment," that's it.
Well, something that I feel like I would really love to do is just like be in a spot like that, like where you're at, and just have people coming to me and wanting either like counseling or kind of like spiritual guidance or meditation guidance or how to go in and do healing, you know. That would be so awesome. That I think I would really love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's gotten we've been at it today for a while. Is there anything else you feel like you want to say or
No.
okay. All right. So awesome. Thank you, Frank. I actually feel like we could talk more about this, but
Yeah. So maybe
yeah.
next week,
Okay.
round two, part two.
All right. Yeah. What shall we call
All right.
this? Like
Uh,
your work or
yeah.
open work or something?
Spiritual work,
Okay.
working from spirit or something like that.
Working from spirit. Nice. Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I'll put on the video. All right.
Sounds good.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Bye
You're
bye.
welcome. Bye.